Hey everybody, welcome to LOVE+RELO, the voice of the relocation industry. I'm your host, Ben Cross, and I am joined by the lovely Ben Sookia, my co-host. How are you, Ben?
Do you want me to answer that honestly, Ben?
Yes, please.
I'm feeling a little bit emotional because we've reached the end almost of Africa Week.
Well, we're 81% there. Think about
it. We're 81% there, and this is our last dance, so we need to make it a good one.
Last chance for love. Okay. Okay. No. Okay.
You need to learn about dancing in Africa. That would just not work.
Okay, that's a stereotype, Ben. Okay.
That's true. I apologize. I take that back.
So people might be saying, why is Ben Sookia dressed normally and Ben Cross is wearing an ugly shirt? And Ben, do you want to tell people why we're dressed like this?
Today in the UK, it's Christmas jumper day. And I decided yesterday.
Christmas jumper day is like jump around.
Yes, no? It is. Yeah. It's ugly jumper day. It's festive Friday. You went for a Christmassy holiday top. I went for some. This is from Brazil, but the north of Brazil, where there's a big African community. So shout out to all my friends in Recife or in Brazil. This is a beautiful little number I picked up when I was there earlier this year. So hello to my African and Brazilian friends watching.
Hey, shout out to the African Brazilians. Shout out to the Africans that we have coming out. My shirt actually is an ugly sweater. It's a Wu-Tang Clan ugly sweater, actually.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. I know, right? Instagram. Yeah, so that's what I'm rocking with right now. It's yeah. Anyway, so hey, that's what's up. Hey, if you're watching this right now, please throw something in the comments. Let us know who you are, where you are, what you're doing. You know what you're sipping on right now, Ben. You have a libation there. Care to share?
I do have a Coke with a little bit of whiskey in it because it is Friday at 8 o'clock here, so I'm enjoying myself.
And if the British say a little bit, they mean a lot. That's what I've learned today also with Ben. They undersell everything chronically.
We do. Yes, you're learning really well. You're fitting well here.
Hit that like button. Throw a heart out there to Ben. Let's give our guests a round of applause. But before we bring them out, let's also shout out our sponsor, because this week on Africa Week, we are raising money for Mercy Joy Ministries to benefit kids in Uganda who can receive education and vocational training as well. So shout out to William Wiggins and his wife, Allison Wiggins, who started this charity. Go down to mercyjoyministries.org to donate and sponsor a child. Today, Go Destination Services has sponsored this episode, which will actually put a kid in Uganda through 1 year of vocational training, which will be life-changing for that young man or young woman. And I want to just quick shout out, Go Destination Services is a global DSP offering traditional in-person services as well as virtual services. Their clients enjoy options like concierge by the hour and even unaccompanied services as well. Go is a proud Carter's Cup finalist and has recently acquired Shamness International. Whoa, Shamness Worldwide. Wow, that's pretty big news. Go is the only veteran-owned and minority-owned DSP and has been in business for 20 years. If you'd like more information, reach out to their CEO, John Merriweather. Shout out to John. Okay, without further ado, would you care to introduce the guest today?
I would love to, and I'm gonna give you something that you're gonna enjoy. I know all this week I've been making some comparisons that you've liked. Ben and Ben on Wednesday were the bad boys of Global Mobility. On Thursday, we were the Beatles. Today, we're going to take it one step further, Ben.
Further than the Beatles. You're blowing my mind.
Further than the Beatles. On Friday, today, the 11th of December, we are going to be channeling the Bulls, the Chicago Bulls. We have our own dream team, and I'll explain why. I'm sure many people watching, I'm sure you as well, watched the Netflix documentary, The Last Dance.
Oh, fantastic.
It was great. And there was a kind of a clip where Michael Jordan talked about how he didn't get an award or MVP. And he said he took it personally that he didn't get that.
Oh, yeah.
Why is this relevant? The reason why is in global mobility, I know what people think about immigration law or immigration and visas, and some immigration practitioners. They think sometimes we can be a little bit dry, maybe not too exciting.
Have you seen View from the Top?
I'm not commenting on that. I am not commenting on that. What I will say is I take it personally when people say that immigration, if you cut me in two, you would just find visa stamps, probably. So I do take that personally.
Is that why you're so thin?
I'm not in. So today, I'm going to channel my inner Michael Jordan. You're Phil Jackson. I'm going to bring out the Dennis Rodman, the Horace Grant, the Scottie Pippen of immigration, and they're going to make immigration exciting and interesting, and they're going to tell us some really great stories. So let me introduce a great bunch of people. I think we've got René actually joining us today, René Stegmann.
Hey, René, the brains of this whole fiasco. Yes. Hey, René, good to see you.
Hey, René. We've got Kwesi, who's the managing partner of Globetrotters Legal. Hey, Pa, are you there? Rocking a brilliant shirt today.
Hi, Ben. Good to see you. Thank you.
Hey, Pa.
Looking good,
we've got Kunle Obebe, who's a partner at Bloomfield Law Practice.
Hello.
Hey, Kunle.
Nice shirt, Kunle. I don't know if we have Lynn or she's not been able to join us. We did have some technical gremlins before. I think she's here. Let's see how well we do with Lynn and go from there. And finally, we've got Crispin Mwebesa, who's a partner at Afrilex Associates. We've got a big squad. We've got the dream team here together, and I'm very excited.
This is great. This is fantastic. Which one was Rodman again?
Lynn Mackenzie, without a doubt.
100,000%.
Yeah. René told me they once won a really big client, and René tried to get hold of Lynn, and she couldn't get hold of her. And apparently Lynn was in Vegas for like 48 hours.
100%. But came back and had a double the next night. So shout out to Lynn. Fantastic. This is great, Ben. I'm super excited about this. So I'm gonna let you ride with this.
Right,
we got people coming in the comments. Actually, you know what? Before we get into it, we got people coming in the comments right here. Everybody gets a shout out. You know the deal here. Tim Quirk, hello, Ben's. What's up? William Wiggins, hello, Ben and Ben from Warm Cincinnati. Hey, William's the head of that charity as well, by the way. So make sure to donate there. It is not the end, it is the beginning of many new relationships with some amazing professionals in Africa. Yes, Benny, a glasses half full approach. This is fantastic. Mena from Dubai. What's up, Mena? Hosea, hello, Ben from Seattle. What's up? Vinny, shouting out Recife. Awesome. Patricia, hello, Ben's, my favorite Ben's. Patricia, would you please order those favorites, please? Just give me a first and a second. We've been debating this. Thanks we all love you here at MJM. Thanks for the sponsorships and the support. Appreciate you, William. Throw the link in the comments as well, William, so people want to if people want to donate. This is awesome. Immigration is exciting. The way it's shared can be not so exciting. Yes, 1,000%. Vinny, the dream team. Yes, what a great group of people, says Paul. And lastly, Celeste. Hello, everyone. Hey, Celeste, Patricia, Vinny, Paul, everybody, throw your comments and questions in there for the group as well. And we're going to get to those. And without further ado, Ben Sookia, take it away.
Perfect. Great. Thanks for the intro, Ben. Lynn may have some technical issues. If she does, René's going to jump in. But I think we need to go with the Dennis Rodman of the group.
1,000%.
And Lynn, maybe if you just introduce yourself, we go from Lynn to Crispin to Pa to Kunle, and just tell us where you're calling in from and what it is that you do, and just give us a brief introduction. And then we can kind of go around the group, because I know there's a big group of us today. Can you hear us okay, Lynn?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I'm having some hearing issues, technical issues, but I'll do my best. I think you really wanted me to start off with introducing myself and what I do and kind of what I'm seeing. Yes, I'm Lynn. I'm the immigration lead at Relocation Africa. My role is to really facilitate immigration matters in over 23 African locations. And I also manage our chain. And my great partners that I work with here, Chris, Pa, Kunle, the whole gang, we work really closely together to be able to fulfill our cases on the ground. My role is also very client-focused to assure that clients, are able to have their needs fulfilled with regards to their immigration matters. So I'm really privileged and so happy to be here, as well as you. At this point, immigration in this last year has been obviously quite challenging with COVID. So we thought it would be very important as providers to keep information relevant and current. So what I've been doing for the last couple of months is I've been interviewing like Ben and Ben, at least trying to, stay on par with the two of you, and to interview our partners to find out what's really going on the ground. Questions like what the immigration landscape looks like, what are the COVID protocols, what are the processes looking like. And, I've done, at least 10 or 15 videos and, addressing many jurisdictions as, Rwanda and Uganda.
Well, that was sudden.
This is live TV. This is what happened. Renee.
Finish that sentence. Rwanda, Uganda.
She's passed the ball to you, Renee. What are you going to do with it? Do you want to finish off her sentence and then pass it on to someone else?
Oh, really, she was just giving a list of her well-rounded big group of 23 locations which we cover. But I'm happy to tag Pa on this one. You go for it, Pa.
Okay, Pa, tell us about your country, what you do in your company, and just a brief intro. At the end of this show, Ben Cross is going to have to pick which country he wants to relocate to. So you're really selling your country to Mr. Ben Cross.
Yes, thank you, Ben. So as you rightly mentioned in the beginning, I'm Pa Kwesi. I am the managing partner of Globetrotters Legal Africa. We have offices in Ghana and Senegal. I'm from Ghana. We always say the gateway to Africa because we more or less, are the leaders in everything. I know Kunle would disagree, but it's a fact, Kunle and I have, an ongoing battle when it comes to our favorite meals, that we have a jollof war going on. But anyway.
So no, can you... Pa, no. Ben Cross needs to hear about the food in Ghana and Nigeria.
Yes. I was actually featured on BBC once, and I think Ghana won. Kunle may disagree, but it's one of the dishes made from rice, and Ghana makes a fantastic, a fantastic one. Nigeria comes second. I think Senegal and others come third, and but we lead. I mean, we just came out of a presidential election just about a few days ago, and
so did we.
Yes. Yours was a couple of days ago. Ours was just a few days ago, and in our case, it was a clear-cut victory, and it's been good. So in terms of practice, I run the Globetrotters legal office in Accra. We are primarily a corporate immigration law firm. We assist clients to, with all their paperwork to remain compliant in country. In addition, we also provide compliance services, regulatory compliance services, and tax advisory services. We have quite a range of clients, and from what I hear, Ghana is a place to be. Businesses are booming. Fantastic food. So for those who enjoy food and a good drink, you can always, tune into Ghana, basically. Ben?
So you're doing a great job, Pa. Okay, first of all, selling me on Ghana. All right, I know some people from Ghana growing up, fantastic people. Patricia says Ghana, the winner for me. Lived 5 years of childhood there, so you got some support. And Patricia's really smart. I trust her with just about everything. So we'll see. I don't know. You know what? Let's just call it. We got some time. You know what, guys? All right, you got 47 minutes of your life back. We're just gonna call it now. Ghana's the winner. I'm just kidding. No. Okay, fine. I'll hear you out. I'll hear the rest of you out.
Kunle, over to you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And thank you for having me. My name is Kunle Obebe. I practice immigration law in Nigeria. I'm the managing partner of Bloomfield Law Practice. I was hoping he wasn't going to bring up that jollof rice issue again, because I know in my heart of hearts that Nigerian jollof rice is the best jollof rice in the world. So we've taken it all over the world, and all of a sudden, Ghana and Senegal are claiming the jollof rice. But
which country has spinach and egusi? Is that Nigeria or Ghana?
Yes, it's Nigeria.
I'm with Nigeria.
Oh my goodness!
All right, Kunle. Before you, I mean, I know this is about immigration.
But they haven't even heard from us.
So, I know this is about immigration, but if we don't eat, we can't immigrate, right? So what's in the jollof? Okay, can we break this down? I need more information here to make it.
Okay. So the jollof rice is basically from rice. So different countries use different types of rice. So for Ghana, for instance, they use the long rice, and I'm wondering why. But so the rice is it's boiled, and you add a bit of tomato sauce to it, and you continue cooking it like that until it becomes really soft. So some people can decide to add like beef or chicken to it while you're cooking it, but it's like a staple because a lot of people get to eat, and it's easy to make anyway. So it's a staple in the West African region. And because Nigeria has over 200 million, yes, you heard that right, over 200 million of us, there are lots of mouths to feed at the moment. So the good thing about it is it's a diverse country. So you have three main, you have the Yoruba, the Igbo, and the Hausa, and it's over the last 2 to 3 years, the information that has been coming out of Nigeria has been Boko Haram. But the truth is that we're still living here, and there's still a lot of opportunity. If not for COVID, I know this year would have been a really, really massive year. But the good thing about this year is it's almost about to end. So we're just hoping and praying that once the year ends and the vaccines start to spread, things can get to a semblance of normalcy, because I don't think they're going.
All right, so I got a question, and the audience has a couple questions. So there's 200 million people in Nigeria. Kunle, how many have you brought to the country?
so 200 million Nigerians. But Nigerians, not expats. Oh my goodness, if you had 200 million expats, I'll be a billionaire or something.
I don't know. Don't sell yourself short, Kunle. The United States has 100% immigrants, so don't sell yourself short. It could happen, Kunle. It could happen.
So the good thing about it is because we have a very young and diverse number of individuals in the country, it's a nation that there's a lot of opportunity, and it's just for, like everywhere else, for the government to get their act straight, and you'd be surprised the amount of opportunity that will come out of the country.
So we have some more comments here coming in from the audience here. Neuron says, loving the jollof rice debate. So we've hit a chord here. It's the jollof hour on Friday. And we actually have a question from Haisha in Texas. Is it easy to make for those of us who can't boil water?
I don't think so.
I feel like a box of Zatarain.
You'll have to do a bit more than boil water.
Okay. Well, it sounds a lot like jambalaya in this country, honestly. It sounds kind of like...
That's so true. I had jambalaya when I went to Orleans, New Orleans.
Wow.
And
New Orleans.
Very similar, but the thing is, I think with the jambalaya, you have sausages and all that in it. And just
shrimp, sausage.
Fantastic food.
So what's better, jambalaya or jollof?
You know the answer to that already.
Oh, you're getting people hungry. This is great. Hey, everybody, hit that like button. Send us some applause and a little heart out there to our friends in Africa here. We got people saying, Kunle, it's nice to see you. Let's see, but I'll always go with PK. Sorry, Kunle. So we're getting into this. I want to hear your comments over here and hear what you guys are thinking out there. So do that here. And then Fiona says, René, love the hat.
Gotta get one. Well, it was very hard to find actually what I wanted to find, which is what we're talking about, because it's summer in South Africa, and we were joking about bringing on a bikini, but so this beats the bikini, right?
No, it doesn't. I mean, yes, it's wonderful. Your decision. Okay. Rolf, hello guys, checking in from Cape Town. What's up, Rolf? And then Vinny says Haisha can cook. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll see you down there, Haisha. All right, so I interrupted you, Kunle. Ben, where are we at now?
So you've met the men on the field. Crispin is dressed like a sports agent. I think we need to hear from Crispin, who's representing 2 countries, Rwanda and Tanzania. So let's have a quick introduction from you, Crispin, about what you do in your firm.
Yeah, thanks, Ben, for having me. My name is Crispin Mwebesa. I'm a partner with Afrilex Associates that has offices in Tanzania, Rwanda, and Zanzibar. And I'm speaking from Kigali, Rwanda. Afrilex Transaction specializes in immigration, but again, it specializes in intellectual property and transaction advisory. Speaking of the countries where we offer our services or where we present, I'll start with Tanzania. This is a country with a population of about a little bit smaller than Nigeria, with a population of about 60 million. And it is known for, among other things, of Mountain Kilimanjaro, which is the highest mountain in Africa. COVID has slowed it down. The economy has slowed down a bit, but there's quite a lot going on in Tanzania. And the leading sectors will be mining, factoring, energy, and Tanzanians as people, they're quite accommodative to whoever is trying to get to the country. So yeah, whoever wants to go there, they're welcome. And speaking of Rwanda, it's a small country, but with very humble and big people in terms of that. It is also called the land of 1,000 hills. There are quite a lot of hills, a beautiful place, well managed, no corruption, and they have deployed a lot of technology when it comes to immigration and other government processes. So things run quite smooth and quite fast.
Crispin, that's a great summary. When we were talking this week and we were asking everybody, what are some of the most popular destinations, or better yet, I think the question was, what is not yet on the radar for some people outside of the region, but that's a real up and coming spot? And they said Rwanda. A lot of people said Rwanda. Why do you believe that is, Crispin? Because I'm looking to get in. I'm looking to get in to buy low and sell high, okay, in my career. So I want to go somewhere, and really make a name for myself. Why is Rwanda the place for me, Crispin?
Yeah, Rwanda is a place to be because of, first of all, it's quite accommodative and quite inclusive. That is number one. But number two, the government has set up the infrastructure where anyone from anywhere in the world, they can come and thrive. But again, there's quite a lot from economic point of view, and the government is quite supportive for whoever is trying to get into Rwanda and is trying to set up a business, or is trying to move into Rwanda. So in terms of the environment, indeed, Rwanda is the place. But even in terms of pressures, the other week you're talking of Jollof. Yeah, Jollof. There's a very beautiful bar by Nigerians in Kigali called Jollof, where you also get the Jollof rice. Yeah, so from social part of it to the economic part of it, everything is perfect in Rwanda.
Awesome.
Wow.
And even if you look at its history, they have been able to turn around the place. The security, everything is quite well managed, and there is order and organization. And I would say that as much as it's small geographically, the very near future, perhaps Rwanda is going to be one of the leaders in Africa.
I'd like to hear questions from people that are watching right now. So I see people, Patricia, Mena, Rolf, Vinny, William, Noran. I'd love to hear questions for you from our panel here. Ben, I'm going to kick it to you, and we got some comments and questions coming in. So Ben,
yeah. Okay, I'm going to put a pause on the jollof rice debate, but we will revisit it at a later stage. I'm going to put my British hat on for a second here, and Brexit. and how the UK and the EU are kind of divided at the moment. And, you know, without going too much detail, it's obviously a very difficult time in this region of Europe. But to compare and contrast that with what's going on in Africa, and what I see superficially as some element of harmonization, it would be good to go around to the group just to see how that's working in your countries. There's long-term travel, but what we're seeing more of a trend of is short-term business travel. And let's say someone from Ghana or Rwanda wants to go to Nigeria, or vice versa. Maybe Kunle and Pa, Crispin and René can tell us a bit more about the African Union that not many of us probably know about, and just specifically in their countries, you know, how that's working out, and if it's similar to Europe, where there's division, or whether there's a bit more harmonization in the region. Maybe we'll start with Kunle.
Okay, thank you, Ben. So there's a new legislation that has recently passed. A couple of countries have signed up. Nigeria recently ratified it. It's called the AFCA. It's the African Free Trade Continental Agreement. So what Africa is trying to do is to ensure that all the African countries, that's 57 of us, are able to trade within ourselves, because there's a lot of opportunity there, and there's very little inter-Africa trade that we have experienced, and the governments are looking at that opportunity. So as a result of that, I think it's just one country that hasn't ratified it now. Everybody else has ratified it. So what it means, therefore, for movement of goods and services is that it's now easy for you to say you want to travel. Like if I use myself as an example now, if I want to travel to Ghana, I just need to get on a flight. I don't need to get a visa, because apart from the AFCA, we had a regional agreement, which is with the Economic Community of West African States. And what that allows us to do is to travel to countries like Ghana and Senegal, and be there for 90 days, maybe a 90-day holiday, if that is possible. And I don't need to get a visa. And a number of other African countries are also starting to issue electronic visas to Africans. So because of that AFCA, what we are seeing is that we are starting to see a lot of inter-African movement. And that also applies because there are a number of industries that run in a lot of the African countries, like the oil and gas industry, for instance. And because of that, we've seen a lot of movement of, because Nigeria has been in the oil and gas industry for a while, we've seen a lot of movement of Nigerian engineers to places where they've just found new oil developments, like Ghana, Mozambique, Angola, Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo. So there are two Congos. It's always important that so there's Congo here, and there's another Congo. I've forgotten the name of the second.
Congo Brazzaville.
Congo Brazzaville. Thank you. They're closer to you than me. So what has happened is that we now have a lot of Nigerian engineers going into these countries, and they find it cheaper to hire a Nigerian engineer than to bring somebody from Houston, for instance, because of the cost implication. So it's although looking at what is happening with the EU at the moment, we're hoping that if we look at the problems they had, and are able to look at solutions that we can also create, I believe the AFCA is going to be a very successful agreement for Africa.
That's interesting. It's really interesting to compare, just to go back to Europe at the moment, the fact that UK nationals have quite a lot of concerns as to what they can do as business travelers, but it seems there's a lot more harmonization and opportunity for intra-regional travel. But maybe Par, I'll pass it on to you. Is that similar in Ghana, or is there anything kind of more restrictive on your side?
No, actually, it's similar to exactly what Kunle said. We're also part of the regional grouping, ECOWAS, that he mentioned, for the West African, 15 West African states. We are allowed entry into these states without a visa for a period of 90 days. So that obviously helps. What we are seeing, is also the case that Ghana took a step further a couple of years ago when they actually opened up to the rest of Africa. And I think it's a right step, now after, for me, is catching up on that aspect. We actually have all the African Union states being able to come to our airport and get a visa on arrival. This was not the case initially. That visa is 30 days, so anybody can come in. And this is in addition to the regional arrangement of ECOWAS that we already have with the West African, states. So what we are seeing is a trend towards making things easier for Africans in terms of movement of persons, goods, right, to establish, businesses in any of our countries, And I think what this does is that it increases the kind of in terms of our GDPs, attractive to foreign investors as well, So, I mean, for me, this is the right time for Africa. People say Africa is a new frontier. I think, for me, it's more than that. It's for me, it's the force. Because for now, as you rightly said, Europe and others are breaking up. Africa is now coming together. And with this after that Kunle mentioned, from what I hear, it's the biggest trade area, bigger than the EU and any other. So I see a lot of opportunity, intra-country travel, just a flight away from Nigeria to Ghana, flow of workforce. I mean, there's so many Nigerians working in our oil and gas sector now. And I think that helps positively, helps develop the countries that form part of the AU. And I think development. So strictly speaking, in terms of workforce, I don't think that, we're going to be self-sufficient now. We will still need to bring in expertise from abroad, but we cannot, undermention the fact that there's a whole lot of, African doing business with Africa movement going now, which I think is a positive thing. And I mean, Africa is, for me, for lack of a better word, is heaven. So we're getting there, basically.
We've got some really interesting questions coming up here, about what Pa and Kunle were talking about. And I want to give just an opportunity kind of to mention these here. So Mena's got a question here, or maybe it's a statement. She says, but the, do I say it? Eco-WAC or do
S.
Eco-WAS. S? See, this is why I need you, Ben. Would you read the questions, Ben? I don't speak the English.
So ECOWAS, correct me if I'm wrong, any of you, but ECOWAS is a community within the region that promotes, I suppose, business within Africa. And what Mena is trying to say is ECOWAS will not allow you to work for short-term periods. So to be clear, what is positive is that if it's short-term business travel, but you're not working, it's very easy and straightforward to move from Ghana to Nigeria or different countries within the region. But I think what Men is trying to say is on the kind of more difficult side is if you're actually working short term, you still need to get that work permit, and that can potentially take quite a bit of time. I think that's what she's trying to say. And she said that Angola is a challenging country in terms of immigration. It's a shame that Lynn's not able to join us, but I don't know if any of you have any comments on that in terms of your country, or maybe René can jump in. It seems like if you're actually working, you will still need to get a work permit, just as a UK or a US national would need to go to Nigeria or Ghana or Rwanda. So that is still a requirement that's in place. Is that right, Kunle?
Oh, okay. So I thought René was going to jump in there. So that's correct. So the process for obtaining a work permit, if you're from the ECOWAS, so the meaning of ECOWAS is Economic Community of West African States. So the West African region. I know the Southern Africa also has some sort of regional. I'm sorry?
SADC.
Oh, yes. So they have a regional community as well of countries. So with regards to work permits, it's not as easy as business travel, but it's easier than if you're coming from, for instance, if you're having somebody move from Ghana to Nigeria, the work permit process is easier for in the ECOWAS region than somebody coming from the US or the UK, for instance. So another thing that we've seen is you would have, and I'm sure René would have seen this, where you have an assignee that has dual nationality. So they could be UK national and they could be a Nigerian national as well. And when they are moving to Ghana, they would prefer to use the ECOWAS work permit, which is far easier to get than to get a normal work permit. Yes, and I agree with her. It's actually really difficult to get into Angola. The process of getting the work permits in Angola are quite difficult, particularly with all the various requirements and the document compilation you have to do to get the work permit.
Interesting. Just a couple of questions for René and Crispin. René, curious to know, I know we briefly talked about the impact of COVID and some of the positive measures that have been taken place in the last few months in the region. Is there anything that you want to maybe tell the audience about that, and then maybe pass on to Crispin about Tanzania as well?
Yeah, no, great. So, I mean, just in terms of sort of the African Union trade agreements, as well as what Africa is certainly doing in terms of encouraging trade amongst the region, I was involved with a project that basically assisted local manufacturers who were, let's say, producing hand cream, and a group between government and private sector assisted these manufacturers to produce sanitizer. So basically, instead of importing all those products from the east, the west, they've encouraged South African companies or manufacturers to produce locally. So we assisted about 80 odd manufacturers to produce PPE locally. Now this has gone a step further, and now they're getting those manufacturers to try and grab contracts within the African region. So, for example, there was a country recently, and I can't remember with Ethiopia or Malawi, Mozambique, who did a huge order in the east for some PPE, and they got hold of the country and told them about the South African manufacturer who could produce. And obviously, it was a lot cheaper, a lot quicker in turnaround time. And because of all the open trade agreements, it became obviously a better solution for the African continent. So there certainly is, not only from obviously a trade perspective, but as Kunle was stating, from an immigration perspective, there's a lot more encouragement of getting talent between the African countries moved. And as we heard from Tamlin on one of the other shows, is to certainly almost start, instead of using the West skills and the East skills, to use our own talent that we've been building up over the many years. But that's not to say that we, are not encouraging, obviously, the West and the East to both invest and bring skills in. But it is just now trying to make sure that there's an easier flow of both trade and people within the African region. So that has been very fruitful and encouraging to see, from my perspective.
It's interesting to see the compare and contrast the collaboration that's happening there. But you look again at the UK, where there's a lot of division, or even the US between the governors in different states, and there are challenges in the countries where you think they would be collaborating in a more efficient way. Crispin, I know that in your questionnaire you mentioned how the government in Tanzania have dealt with COVID relatively efficiently, I believe. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. First of all, Tanzania and Rwanda, they're both members of the East African community, but they have taken different strategies when it comes to COVID. Tanzania never closed its borders. There has never been a lockdown. There were never changes in terms of how the immigration is being handled. In Rwanda, from I think March up to August, they closed down the borders, and they were just reopened, I think, on the first week of August. And there are certain measures. For example, if you're coming to Rwanda, you have to have a negative COVID test result. And if you're leaving Rwanda, again, you have to have a negative COVID test result. In terms of its implication, COVID has had implication in both jurisdictions, in both countries. Tourism has slowed down. These are major sectors in both countries. But things are coming back at the moment. Things are picking up. The numbers in Tanzania are quite impressive. I think there was divine intervention. As much as there was no any lockdown or any serious measure that was taken by the Tanzanian government to curb the COVID, we have not, experienced any major public health challenge related to COVID. Yeah.
We got some comments coming over here real quick. I want to get to some of those. Hey, everybody, ask your questions. We got immigration experts here from all over Africa with tremendous expertise here. And I wanted to make sure you have an opportunity to ask questions here. Patricia said, what an amazing amount of knowledge on one panel. She's got a question. Is the processing time in your countries as long as some of the countries here in Latam? So why don't we really quick just kind of go around and kind of a lightning round, right? And just the average processing time. Does that make sense? Let's try that out, just to kind of give everybody kind of an idea of processing times by country. Crispin, we'll start up there with you. You want to comment on the countries that you work in?
Oh yeah, Rwanda is quite fast. Might take hardly 1 week. You have your permit. You have your permit. In the case of Tanzania, it's a little bit bureaucratic, and it might take 2 weeks to 3 weeks, at times even a month, given where you're coming from. Yeah.
Okay, so Tanzania 2 to 4 weeks, for Rwanda a week. Okay, interesting. All right, Pa, what about you?
Yes, in Ghana, it depends. Depends on the sector that you belong to. Generally, for the non-oil and gas sectors, you're looking at processing of work permits within a period of 3 to 4 weeks. But for the oil and gas sector, it's definitely longer. And the reason is that it's much stricter on local content, succession planning, and other labor market testing regimes that have been put in place by the regulator in the sector. So for the oil and gas sector, you're probably looking about 6 to 8 weeks to have a work permit in place. And in our case, once you have the work permit, you need to proceed to get a residence permit. For the residence permit, generally you're looking about 2 weeks to process the residence permits. So, it actually depends on the sector. But the average, you're looking at 3 to 4 weeks for the non-oil and gas, and 6 to 8 weeks for the oil and gas sector.
Okay, awesome. Kunle? Kunle, I think you're muted. I'm missing that deep bass.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So it's about the same thing with Ghana. It's about 2 to 3 weeks for a short-term work permit. Then for a long-term work permit, could take about maybe 4 to 5 weeks. But that the assumption is you have all the documents in place already. So it's actually the document compilation and all the other permits you need to get before you apply for the work permit that could take a bit of time. But once you have all your documents in place, probably about 2 to 3 weeks for a short-term work authorization, then maybe about 4 to 5 weeks for a long-term work authorization.
Interesting. René, what do you see?
So I'm actually embarrassed because we're out of all of them.
Yeah, just
we're longer. It's like 6 to 8 weeks, and it does depend. Our critical skills can be a lot longer, 12 weeks, and then also a lot of our all of our applications have to be done generally outside the country. And so it can literally depend from mission to mission. So you could deal with a very efficient mission in Russia, or a very inefficient mission in another location, or so that could also put a lot of, deepen the process a bit longer, depending on the person you're dealing with. And then, we've got a lot of processes like advertising for the position that have to happen within the country. And so there's, it does take a long time. So we often say to people, allow 3 months, so really plan ahead in terms of understanding, the process for South Africa.
Interesting. Okay, cool. And then my dad always, gotta love my dad, always chimes in. It says, is 90 days sufficient for obtaining a visa? Is there any situation where that wouldn't be? It sounds like everybody's thresholds are below that. Is there any exceptions or any countries or areas that maybe that wouldn't be sufficient?
Yeah, for a visitor's visa, I'm assuming he's talking about, is he?
I have no idea what my dad's talking about, okay? He just comes in here, he drops a comment, and he goes and does his business and says he watches my shows. I have no idea what he's talking about, but let's just pretend, yes, that's what he's talking about.
He wants to visit. Yeah, absolutely. Well, as Carl was referring to, you, and some of the African countries, you can arrive and get a visa on arrival, but that's not all countries. So it's very much, but 90 days would be more than sufficient for a visitor's visa.
Okay, there you go, Dad. There's the answer to your question. Let's see. Patricia says, "Oh my God, you guys made me jealous. Here, the average is 8 to 12 weeks, and some take up to 6 months. Oh my goodness, that's incredible. That's incredible." And then we have some comments. Ghana, non-oil and gas is shorter than oil and gas sector. Why is there a difference there? Is there just a priority on oil and gas? Huh?
Yeah, in actual fact, there's a lot of focus on localization and training of the Ghanaian, and have contributed to the timeline that it takes to actually secure a work permit. So for instance, if you want a work permit long-term in the oil and gas sector, you have to conduct a labor market search. So in actual fact, the 6 to 8 weeks is just a processing time. But for you to actually be able to submit the application, you're required to conduct a labor market test, ties the position in newspapers, actually conduct interviews. In some cases, the regulator will ask you, to sit in part of the meetings, and then once you have this and you decide to employ an expat, you are required to even get a Ghanaian understudy, and go through certain steps before you actually submit the application. So I think the focus on trying to make sure that the skills gap in the oil and gas sector is bridged, and this is the way that the regulator is using to get companies to toe the line, basically. So before you bring in an expat in the oil and gas sector, you have to go through all of this, and that adds up to time. In actual fact, it could take up to 3 months from start to end. But the actual processing time is what I refer to as a 6 to 8. But in the non-oil and gas sectors, there's, it's less strict, in terms of what you have to meet, in securing a work permit in that sector. So that's what accounts for the difference in the processing timelines, in terms of the sectors. One sector is more keen on making sure that you cross all the T's and dot all the I's for local content purposes, whilst others are not too strict. But we see an increasing trend, just to chip in, that even in other sectors as well, they've started towing the line of the petroleum sector. So there are local content legislations that are being passed in other sectors, and it will get to a point where, other non-oil and gas related cases may take longer, depending on the other restrictions that they bring in. But this is not to scare people. It's just that once you start planning early, you are able to meet the timeline, because they expect you to start early. If you're able to manage, plan properly, your business will not be affected too much by the length of time it takes to process a work permit in the oil and gas sector.
Yeah, it looks like one of the comments here is need to start the process 3 months prior to relocating. for oil and gas. Great stuff here. Fiona's got a question. Fiona Mugino, one of our partners this week, one of our sponsors this week at Expat Partners, and she says, "What about quote investors? Do they have a special visa or processing?" Renee, what does Fiona mean by investors?
So, I mean, I guess, the people who are coming to sort of start up businesses, greenfields into a country, and actually it is a really interesting question, and I've been fortunate to be involved in sort of this collaboration between government and private sector. And one of the things we really have started to understand is that for an investor to come into, let's say, South Africa, it's very hard to navigate that investment space, because ultimately what the governments do want to do, they do want to allow those investors to have sort of this easy path in terms of setting up and investing into a country. However, often it's embroiled with red tape. But we have now actually some nice opportunities for those who are interested in investing into our country to try and short circuit some of the processes. So South Africa and all over South Africa, we've got these investor hubs now, and they want the investor potential to come and meet with them so that they can quickly plug and play to make sure that they get to meet the right people to get the jobs done that they need to do. But it is very hard to navigate the investor space. And there are usually, for example, from an immigration perspective, allowances usually in some countries to allow those investors, let's say, certain free immigration people, to bring in 5, for example, free visa categories into one of the locations to help them set up their business and get started. So that investor entry is actually very important for people to try and navigate.
That's interesting. I would ask the other gentleman, is there a way to expedite or have special visas or processing times in your country that is legal?
Crispin, we'll start with you.
Crispin, you're muted.
I think there are standard procedures that need to be followed. There are not shortcuts. There are certain documentation that you need, and you cannot avoid. And once you have filed, the immigration departments, both in Rwanda and Tanzania, they will go through the documentation to make sure that you're compliant. And as I've said, the timeline for Rwanda, 1 week is quite efficient, and in Tanzania, 3 to 4 weeks. Speaking of investors, indeed, there are permits specifically for investors, and the process in both countries, Tanzania and Rwanda, is quite speedy, and because both countries are trying to attract the investors and foreign direct investment into their countries. So we're quite supportive if you have all the documentation in place.
Out of curiosity, and we do have to thank our sponsor again, but real quick, let's finish up this question. Out of curiosity, Kunle and Pa, do you have a special visa or processing time for investors? And if so, what characterizes an investor? How much money I gotta have? What's an investor? I'm an investor. I got like half a share of Amazon. What's an investor?
So your half a share in Amazon will not count for the kind of investment.
Okay, whole share? What are we talking, Pop?
Yeah, so Nigeria just I actually had a webinar yesterday where we were talking about the new visa policy that was launched in February 2020. So part of the visa categories that have just been recently introduced is the investor visa, and essence of that visa is to try and encourage foreign direct investment into the country. So there are about 3 or 4 categories. I think the least amount is about $1 million, and it goes higher to about 20 or $50 million. So basically what the government is trying to do is, I'm sure they'll be happy to expedite the visa, the more money that you're willing to bring into the country. And it's targeting a lot of investors in the oil and gas sector, because they are the ones that usually have investments that have that kind of weight. So because the visa policy was launched in February, then COVID hit. It hasn't been fully implemented. So we don't really know how it's going to work out yet because it's newly introduced. But I believe what the government is actually looking at is ultra wealthy individuals that are looking at maybe investing in the Nigerian oil and gas industry, because for about 3-4 years now the investment into that industry has been very low. But with the new visa, we are hoping that will change that.
So Kunle, I still haven't declared which country I'm moving to yet. So if I wanted to start an oil and gas podcast, would I qualify?
So except your oil and gas podcast will make oil come out of the ground.
Love and gas. I don't know. All right. So here's the thing. I know we've got a bunch of comments here. I wish I could get to everybody. We got some fantastic, people actually putting real details here in the comments, which is fantastic. Wow. Shout out to Lynn and Low. I'm sorry. But I want to, Ben, I know I'm taking you way off track. I'm like going down a rabbit hole over here. Oh, I'm sorry. Fiona says, you know what? Sorry, guys. The assignment's off. I got to go to Paris. When Fiona calls, you can go. I mean, that's just how it works.
But the thing is, you have some African countries that are Francophone countries as well. So you could consider that. And the food is better as well, because I've been to Paris.
Real quick, Stacey.
I know Fiona won't like that, but yeah.
This is fun. Stacey, I got to shout out. I got to shout out Go here. Yeah, bring them back. That's awesome here. And real quick here, thank our sponsor Go for taking care of the youth in Uganda. Go Destination Services, a global DSP offering traditional in-person services as well as virtual services. Their clients enjoy options like concierge by the hour and even unaccompanied services as well. Go is a proud Carter's Cup finalist and has recently acquired Chamness Worldwide. Go is the only veteran-owned and minority-owned DSP and has been in business for 20 years. If you'd like more information, reach out to their CEO, John Merriweather. Thank you, John. Shout out to you, buddy. Ben, I'm going to stop monopolizing the time. I've left you a whole 3 minutes to really do whatever you want, buddy. Whatever you want.
Are we wrapping up more?
No, you know what? It's Friday. This is my last day here, so I can do whatever I want.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's go back to let's go back to Keith role play mode.
Yes.
Role play mode. And you and I, there's been a bit of chemistry between us the last few days.
I felt it too.
Hypothetically, I know this is a sensitive one. We sort of skirted around it a couple of days ago. Hypothetically, we move to Africa. There's a bit of chemistry. We get on well. It would be interesting to know if we were to consider Nigeria or Ghana or Tanzania or Rwanda, if we were to be a couple.
If we were to consummate this thing, yeah.
Yeah, if we were.
Sure.
Would we be able to relocate together? Let's say I managed to get Mrs. Cross out of the way.
Yeah. Do me a favor, okay?
Kunle, can you sort us out for the visa?
Yeah. So, I'm sure you know the answer to that.
No, I do not, Kunle. Tell me.
No, I meant Ben.
I know. But tell the audience.
So the thing is, it's actually a crime.
Oh wow!
So same-sex partners are not recognized. The government has criminalized it. So therefore, it's not applicable. You can't get a spousal visa based on that. So that won't work in Nigeria.
What if I called Ben my co-host?
Yeah. So I as I said, it's a crime. So if your next door neighbor doesn't like you, you may get into trouble.
They don't. Yeah.
So you may get into trouble for that.
Okay.
It's not recognized. Yeah.
Okay. Crispin, is there?
Is there a solution, Crispin? Is there a solution around it on your side of things?
I think for both Rwanda and Tanzania, the position is similar to what Kunle has just said about Nigeria. But on the other hand, again, the constitutions of both Tanzania and Rwanda do guarantee the right to privacy. So if you really don't disclose that, the government won't have interest in trying to investigate to establish whether there is that such a relationship, which is otherwise illegal in both jurisdictions. So if you don't disclose and you proceed to apply for permits, definitely you get your permits. But on the other hand, in both countries, as I've said, the position is similar to Nigeria. You just need to know that your right to privacy is guaranteed, and it will be permits will be processed if you don't disclose that.
Yeah. So if I could just ask the question now, if in the
I have a right to privacy, Kunle.
Yeah, so, look at it from this context. You're married in the U.S., where they officially issue you a marriage certificate, and you want to move to Tanzania. So there will be no issue of privacy there. Would they now process that kind of a visa?
If you're married, I mean, what is legal in the States?
In the states, and depending on the state, I think, but in most states, I think by now they recognize the right to gay marriage in the United States.
Yeah, is not necessarily legal in other countries. So the position is quite clear in Tanzania, but again in Rwanda, they don't recognize gay marriages. But again, as I've said, if you don't disclose it, okay, if you come and say, for example, in your application that this is my friend or this is a co-host, your permit will be processed, and the government won't interfere with your privacy because it is guaranteed by the constitution. But if you come openly, definitely won't get the permit. Other measures will be pursued. Yes.
Pa, did you hear that question in terms of the LGBTQ visas for Ghana? Does Ghana recognize same-sex? Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
So
Four?
Yes. So basically for dependent
I think we lost him.
Yeah,
life partners or same-sex partners.
Yeah. Okay.
No, so I can talk about Ghana because they're just our next door neighbors. It's the same thing that applies. It's not recognized, except the law has changed since the last time I spoke to you. And it's the same thing that applies in Nigeria that applies in Ghana as well.
Men are saying same-sex marriage certificate is not accepted in North Africa and the Middle East. And question to René, does South Africa recognize same-sex marriage?
Yep, we do. So it is recognized and you can apply and there's no restrictions or criminality. So it is a recognized status.
Well, Ben, I think that sums it up for us then.
Do you want Jollof Rice or do you want Ben Sookia as your? You got to pick Jollof Rice.
That's tough. It's tough. Yeah. Yeah, cool. I'll take the gel off. Anyway, Ben, I'll let you wrap it up. I think we're kind of running out of time a little bit here. Is there one more? Is there anything else you wanted to ask the panel, or should we go into final comments?
I think we should go into final comments. Before I do, a couple of shout outs. I want to say hello to Philip Yip, who is my friend in Australia. He's watching. It's at 8 o'clock in the morning there. Wow. And also Ben Cross. She's not going to be happy with you, but Susie Sookia and Khalid Sookia, my parents, said to say hello to Ben Cross from Ben's mother.
Nice. Hello, Sookias.
Yeah. I don't know if my mum's trying to tell me that you and I are biologically brothers. Does that mean that my mum is your mum? Like
Ben Cross from Ben's mom. I think you just drunk. I think you're drunk, actually. This is very clear to me. Hi to Ben Cross from Ben's mom. I think we're good.
Okay, fine. I
couldn't see the resemblance. Yes.
Fair enough. Yes. So hello to my parents, and thank you for watching. My final thought, just to wrap up the week, I think this has been great. First of all, thank you to Crispin, thank you to Kunle, thank you to Pa, thank you so much to René. Lynn sent me a WhatsApp. She's on her way to Vegas, so she was kind of busy with other things. But thank you to all our guests today, and more broadly, when we first spoke a few months ago, we talked about the donut, and we talked about how it's so important to give people an equal voice and an equal platform, and how global mobility shouldn't just be about North America and Europe. It should be about all regions. And to be honest with you, Ben, thank you so much to you and Janet and Stacey and Tim for giving us this opportunity to have a whole week for an audience that is mainly in North America or Europe. It's been a tremendous opportunity, and people see this donut idea as a huge concept. This is exactly what you've done, and you've given us this opportunity and this platform. So I genuinely want to thank you. I am sad that this is now over, but fair play to you, mate. It's been a lot of fun, and really appreciate it. And I'm sure everyone in the audience today appreciates it, and thank you for all of you who've watched in as well. But thank you for giving people that don't often have a voice, don't often get the platform at conferences and communities, to have that platform this week. I'm really very grateful, actually, to be honest with you. So I appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you, Ben, so much, and thank you, René, so much. And what I would say to that, though, is opportunities all around us, right? And do we take it? And when given the opportunity, you and René, you ran with it, right? And you put together an amazing week of some of the most insightful, wonderful professionals that we've had on the show. And I think you've opened my eyes, you've opened the eyes of our audience. I think this is just the beginning. I think this is just the beginning, the beginning taste and touch, into the continent, the different regions within, and even some of the nuances, right? I mean, I came into this week, and I've studied Africa, in college even, and I came in, and I still came in with such a just a lack of familiarity and a lack of nuance, and I think that I've learned so much, and it's really been a blessing for me, Ben and René. So thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Should we give the others a final word quickly? I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go around.
Pa, anything you want to say? A final word from you? If you're with us.
Yeah, so basically that in short, Africa is open for business. Statistically, we have seen that quite a lot of African countries have to be in the top 5 of fastest growing economies. We have fantastic weather. So anyone that wants to run away from the winter can always come to Africa. It's mostly summer all year. And just like we're doing on this show, we collaborate a lot because Africa is full of a diverse group of people, and collaboration, as we see, is the only way that a company can have a firm footing. So basically open yourself, have an open mind, put away the stereotypes about what's happening in Africa, and come in and do business, basically.
Great.
Thanks, Paul. Crispin, anything from you, and any final thoughts from you? Crispin?
It wouldn't be Africa if we don't have this.
Crispin, are you with us? Maybe he's frozen. Let's maybe move in. Crispin's silence is his powerful message. Oh, Crispin, are you there? No. Maybe not. Kunle, let's move on to you. Any final words from you?
So two things. First of all, on the weather that Pa spoke about, I went to the World Cup in South Africa, 2010, and I packed my shorts. I was thinking I'll pack the shorts and the t-shirt, and it was June. In South Africa, it was really cold, really, really cold. At some point, I was bleeding from my nose because the weather. Yes, it was really, really cold. So I had to get warm clothes when I got into South Africa. So you have to watch for the weather. But as everyone has said, this is an opportunity for you to hear the voice from Africa. I know that a lot of companies are looking at the opportunities that are in Africa, and they are telling other companies, "Don't come here; it's not safe." Oh, something is going to happen, but that's not the case. The truth is that only bad news sells. There's a lot of opportunity, and it's for us to be able to harness those opportunities. We have a lot of young people in Africa that are looking at how they can further grow the various countries where they represent. So it's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to share our thoughts about Africa. Another thing I'd want to mention is that every time I'm traveling into maybe the US or the UK, and they ask me, what is your profession? I always tell them I'm an immigration lawyer, and they just say, okay, you can go. You can pass through, because most times they're thinking an immigration lawyer would probably bring trouble to them. So that's always a good line for all immigration lawyers. Thank you.
Thank you.
So when I come to the continent, I should masquerade as an immigration lawyer, is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Let's give the last word to René, because she really has been the brains of the operation. Thank you so much, René, for putting this together, and it's been a lot of fun actually talking to you and kind of behind the scenes as well. So let's hear it from you.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a great opportunity. I often have a couple of things that, when they call EMEA and they include, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, I often go like, are you sure there's an A on the end of that? Because there's no conversation. So this has just been, really wonderful to have it front and center. The other thing I wanted to just say is a guy who moved over from Australia, he came and he lived in South Africa for a while. And he said to me, every day in Australia, I woke up, I knew exactly what was going to happen. He said, and I love living in Africa because I never know what's going to happen in that day. And I just, embrace the unknown. You will have an absolute adventure. There is so much diversity on this continent. There's so many opportunities. And if you can't come for business, come for travel purposes, it's really a beautiful continent and very diverse continent. So absolutely. Thank you for highlighting it this week, Ben. It's been an absolute pleasure and lovely to have everyone on the show.
Thanks, René. Which country are you picking, Ben?
Well, I mean, I feel like this is such a bad pick. I feel like it's such a bad pick, but I feel so bad about that. I know, Kunle, I know, man, I love you doing your story, and I want to meet your wife and your family. And Pa looks like so much fun to hang out with. I think he's got like a cognac over there or something. I don't even know. It looks beautiful. And Crispin actually seems like the most sane out of all of you. So, I mean, he's probably the guy I should probably affiliate myself with, to be honest with you. But, I mean, when we start talking about, cultural issues and things like that and causes and things like that, which are kind of near and dear to my heart, even though I'm a cisgendered male, but I look at South Africa, to be the place to probably be most comfortable for me. I already told you, Ben, I'm soft in my old age. Okay, I'm soft. All right, and maybe I get an internship with René. Maybe if I keep my head down, work hard, maybe I get ahead. I don't know. It might be the thing. So that's probably where I'm headed. I don't know.
Fair enough.
You'll be welcome with open arms.
Thanks, René.
Cool.
Yeah, well, hey, everybody, this has been phenomenal. Ben, thank you so much for being my partner in crime. The Beatles, the Jordan Bulls, the bad boys of relocation. That's probably my favorite. It's absolutely hilarious because you're like the nicest person I know. Anyway, but thanks for being with us on this trip to the continent of Africa. It's been wonderful. My eyes are open. My heart is full, and it's been beautiful. Thank you for everybody that's been a speaker this week. Thank you for all of you who have gotten involved in the comments and made the conversation that much better. Thank you for participating. It's always better when you do. So thank you for that. And then Monday, stay tuned to Love and Reload, back to our normal time, 4 p.m. Eastern, GMT -5. On Monday, we have Rena Montalvo from News Corp. She manages global mobility at News Corp, and she's also a speaker and lecturer at Harvard University, NYU, Yale. She's kind of doing the tour. So I can't wait to have Rena Montalvo on Monday. So set your calendars, 4 p.m. Eastern time, GMT -5. And again, thank you to all of our guests. And thanks, René and Ben, for putting this together. It's been a blessing.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.